So Gemini, your September 2025 forecast sees your ruler Mercury move into a new home on the 2nd, which will be a temporary vacation before moving back into an air sign on the 18th in the sign of Libra, which can be brilliant for you because that's going to sparkle towards Uranus in your sign, but also Pluto in Aquarius. So we're going to have a grand air trine. Fabulous for animating your ideas outwards with enthusiasm and passion. What's not to like? But it's just that on the first day of this month, for us all, Saturn inverts back into the sign of Pisces. Now, it's not keen being in Aries, but it's not really that happy being in Pisces either. Saturn in Pisces is the end of a 29.5-year cycle, but for you, it represents your connection to the wider world. So it is possible, particularly with the solar eclipse later this month, that responsibilities and your public standing could be scrutinised quite a lot through the time to the 14th of February when Saturn returns back into your sector of future homes, the 11th house and Aries. So quite a lot's going on right at the start of this month. But let's just think about Mercury making its way into the other sign it rules other than yours, of Virgo. Now, Virgo for us all collectively can be very much about order, about making sure that we use a degree of refinement and discrimination to make sure that, in your case, the 4th house can be about our home. So if you're a home worker, you may want to make some improvements to make that a little bit more efficient and comfortable. If you're someone who'd like to move, Mercury's more commercial instinct could see you negotiating about that. But in terms of the 4th house, although the host Virgo can be about that precision, the 4th house is about security, stability and emotion. And Mercury here can have a tendency for us to overthink and overanalyze because of the Virgoan energy. And that's something just to be mindful of. But in a very upbeat way, we do have Venus at the start of this month continuing her journey through the 3rd house, which has an echo of your sign, helping your communications, and she's also forging a very positive semi-sextile to the Sun through to the 19th. So if you can stay in touch with how you feel, but also use your natural charm, wit, and ability to get your mind around ideas very rapidly, whether socially or professionally, that's a very strong angle. But Uranus, the planet of disruption, which has been with you more recently, does go into a retrograde on the 6th. But I want to reassure you, it does continue to forge a stunning alliance to Pluto, and also to a degree Neptune through this month, but I feel that that angle to Pluto is particularly significant. Uranus is very much to do with the future, but it can also be to do with our higher purpose and where we want to be most authentic. So in your sign, in some ways, it may be pushing you to reset your place in the world, but more on your terms. The angle to Pluto is significant, but because it may be through your philosophies, maybe your interest in a topic, maybe it's to do with your knowledge, love of travel, that you can really sparkle, despite the fact that there is this energy in the more muted, security-based part of your chart, the 4th house. And of course we do have a lunar eclipse on the 7th. Now that's going to see the moon along with the North Node, also with Saturn in the most visible part of your situation. The node's intriguing. It pushes us to listen to our inner voice. But of course on the other side of the heavens, the Sun is in the meticulous Virgo. If you're wanting to make a hit in terms of your worldly ambitions, you're perhaps going to need to make sure that your home base is working well, because that can liberate you to concentrate on the demands. Because with Saturn in the 10th house, I do feel there can be some pressures. Obviously the world of work is changing very rapidly, that do show up, not just this month, but through to next February with Saturn in that 10th house. But having said that, we do also have, in the early parts of this month, Jupiter in your second house, forging a very strong link with the Sun in your fourth. So some good fortune could be linked to a property. If you are trying to sell one, you're going through some conveyancing, working with a seller, or perhaps an estate agent or a realtor, the need to communicate clearly is going to be important. But you can do it, particularly around the 13th, when the Sun and Mercury meet in a cazimi. So that could be a great opportunity to seal the deal. It's just that just after then, Mercury does go into a really quite testing opposition to Saturn, for us all, to be honest. And if there is a lot of worldly demands on you, that could weigh heavily, and you may feel a bit depleted in terms of your nervous energy. But then, as I mentioned before, Mercury makes its way into your sister air sign of Libra. So Mercury moving into Libra, of course, is very much about balance, but for you, Mercury here is about playfulness. Mercury can be very mischievous. It's a bit like the magician, and you could conjure up some brilliance, particularly with that link back to Uranus and Pluto in that grand air trine. So it helps you to really glow up with your creativity and passions. But then Venus moves out of the very charismatic Leo and into Virgo, joining briefly with the Sun. So Venus here is not at her absolute best, but if you are wanting to redecorate or paint, spend time in your garden, meet up with family, it can be a lovely time to do this. But the 21st of September sees a solar eclipse. It's the second new moon, inverted commas, of this particular Virgo season, so it makes it a black moon. But it is in a crunching opposition with Saturn. So however much you'd like to get that perfect home, emotional world, and like to be protective, nurturing, there may be something that really battles for your attention. And it may be, for example, the needs of elderly parents, maybe younger family members. Maybe if there is something around a property matter, there are some repairs that need to be applied, not just immediately, but over the next 6 months. That's the backdrop of the entire eclipse period. But the 22nd does see a beautiful event for you as an air sign, because the Sun moves into Libra, where it will be for 4 weeks, but it also ushers in cardinal quadrant 3. This is the quadrant and a backdrop for the next 13 weeks, where for us all collectively, the strands of balance, fairness and equilibrium are very important. But it's also for you where you can just want to be much more playful, charismatic and outgoing. That's lovely. But Mars, ironically, which has spent all of the month in Libra until this point, moves on the autumnal equinox into Scorpio. Now Mars in the 5th house this month suggests that if there is someone that you're romantically involved with, it could be passionate. It doesn't mean to say it will all be smooth sailing, because when you've got the polarities of the 10th and 4th houses competing, but with Saturn in the 10th, it may be that if one of you is under a degree of duress at work, working long hours, lots of demands, maybe the home and emotional side of things hasn't been quite as calm and tranquil as is ideal. So Mars at times may have seen some passion expressed, but also some very intimate clinches as well. But Mars then moves on the 22nd into Scorpio, which, like Aries, it rules traditionally, and Mars here can be more intense. If there is something that needs to be pushed forwards and you feel you need to take action and focus on the details, you're going to go at it in a very direct way. But there is a potential challenge because of the position of Pluto, the modern higher octave ruler of Scorpio, clashes with Mars through the last week of this month. So if you try to push something too hard, some kind of change, reset, and you try to do it on your terms only, you could meet with quite a lot of resistance. So just be conscious of that. So just to recap as an overall Gemini, I feel that if you're someone who's very ambitious, goal orientated, and you really want to make your way to the top of what you're doing, the desire to do that is going to be there the next 5 or 6 months. But also there could be some demands that come from that. And if finding the exact type of job you want that works for your home and family life has been a little bit elusive, that may still be a theme this month. What you can do is use your quick wits but also your charm with the help of Mercury, your ruler, but also Venus, in order to relate well to others. Some good financial fortune can come to you through property or a family matter, but as the month goes on, I do feel that the solar eclipse does flag up where something may be out of balance between how you feel and what you desire in terms of ambitions, and that may be what you need to align over the next half year. But there's also lots of opportunities to have some playtime over the next 13 weeks from the 22nd as the Sun arrives into Libra. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, please check out my testimonials below. Please also check out my new website at patrickarundell.com. You can download your free natal chart with a stunning free interpretation. Enjoy my wonderful 3 free card tarot, or sign up for your free daily horoscope fired to your device each day.